So any requests for this morning's class in particular? So we're going to start out with a little bit of movement after we do our centering and our checking in. And as always, just modify and adjust. This is the first time I'm going to be moving my body around this morning. So if that's the same for you, give yourself some time to kind of see how things feel. If you've already gone for a walk and gotten some movement, you kind of have already been able to take some inventory in. I'd like us to try to start in a child's pose. I know child's pose can be challenging for some of us, especially if we have any knee issues that we take care of. So you can always check in from a seated position or on your back in Shavasana and then catch up when we go into our movement. If child pose does work for you, we're going to work our way into that now. So glad to have you all this morning. Let's go right into our practice. I'm going to put everybody on mute for now, but you're always welcome to unmute yourself if you ever have a question or a comment. Remember that you can use props to help support the body in child's pose. So if it is a little bit challenging to sit back on those heels, taking a nice big pillow behind you to sit on, a rolled blanket or towel. If we haven't done so already, we want to have our props around us today. So yoga blocks if you have them, pillows, blankets, yoga strap, any extra cushions and pillows. We can also take props in front of our body in child's pose. So if we want to place something underneath the chest and the abdomen to help support the torso, if the head doesn't easily come down to the ground in our child's pose, we stack our fists, our forearms, or place another prop underneath the forehead. Wide knee child's pose, great option because it allows the hips to get a little bit of opening stretch. It allows some space for our belly. We sink the heart towards the ground. If we're able, we'll reach through the fingertips to the front corners of our yoga mat, keeping the hands a little wider than the shoulders, stretching the index fingers forward, but simultaneously pulling the navel in. So we draw the belly into the body, we draw the hips back, and we sink those sit bones down towards the heels as best we can. Another option is to simply keep those hips up in the air and rest down on the forearms. Good. So once we're in our position, if you need to make any adjustments here, do so. And then let's just press that pause button, find some stillness here, allowing the muscles of the low back to get a big stretch, again around the hips. And depending where our arms are, we might be getting a big stretch across the chest and through the shoulder girdle. It might take a few moments and a few deep breaths for the body to go a little further into the pose, so don't force it. Gravity is our friend here, help tractioning things out. Let's mentally start to move through the whole body. As we're moving through the body, we are consciously letting go of any unnecessary tension or tightness we might find, especially around the face, the jaw. Check in with those shoulders, down the arms into the fingertips. Move around the torso, through the abdomen, down the spine, into the low back. Check in around those hip creases, hip sockets, through the legs, behind the knees, all the way down into the ankles, feet, and toes. Letting our whole body know that we're about to start our practice here. Recognizing and honoring any of those areas that maybe need a little extra TLC this morning as well. Continue to let the whole body relax. Let's start to observe and watch the body breathe. Try to breathe smoothly and evenly in and out through the nose. And just notice how the breath moves in our body in child's pose. So where does the breath go? Do we feel it in the back, in the side bodies? Does the abdomen respond to our inhales and exhales? Are we able to find a little bit more length in our inhale and some expansion and a little bit more relaxation and letting go on the exhale? Let's try to take a couple bigger, deeper breaths here. Trying to keep the breath as smooth as possible. So on the inhale, we're filling ourselves up. And on those exhales, we try to take just as much time to empty the body back out. And let's all take one more nice big round of breathing. And we'll let this breath just be our biggest breath of our day yet. So next inhalation, try to sip in as much fresh air, prana, and energy as we possibly can. And at the very top of that breath, gently, slowly start to exhale and take as much time as we need to empty the lungs, empty the body of stale old air and energy. Now at the bottom of that exhale, you can stay connected to this big, deep, smooth breath or just let it wander away wherever it wants to go. Ground back down through those hands. So if the hands are underneath the head, re-extend them forward or underneath the shoulders. We're going to inhale and float our head up and then pull our body all the way up out of child's pose. We're going to move right into tabletop. So let's stack those knees underneath our hips. Spread the fingers wide. Nice strong arms as we press into the ground. Float the head in line with the spine. Let's keep our toes tucked under here. Keep the hips level and give our right leg a nice big stretch behind us. So just step the right foot back from the hip. The ball of the foot will be on the ground. We will shift our weight back through that heel. So we get a lot of benefit when we release child's pose as we open up the eye of the knee. Breathe it in. On the exhale, drop the right knee back down underneath the hip. Hips stay level. Left leg stretches back. Take a couple deep breaths here. Press equally through both hands. Press that heel towards the floor. Try to straighten and extend that leg as much as possible. Deep breath in. Exhale, left knee comes down. Remember, at any time our wrists need to take a break or we just want to strengthen our hands and forearms differently, rising up on our fingertips in Hasta Bandha or making two strong fists and punching the fist into the floor. Some extension and flexion following the breath. Take a nice deep breath in, relax the belly, lift the tailbone, stretch the spine long, all the way up through the crown of the head, gazing forward into cow pose. Exhale, pull the belly in, tuck that tailbone under, round the back up to the ceiling, chin to chest, drishti to the belly button, and cat pose. Now try to establish that Samavriti Pranayama, so an equal breath, inhaling and exhaling, moving in and out of this pose. Try to get the pelvis into the movement. So we take an anterior tilt when we get into our extension and back bending. We take a posterior tilt when we get into the flexion and rounding. Try to move vertebra by vertebra between the shoulder blades, through the neck to the base of the skull. We can also add some side to side movement or really any other movements to kind of roll around in our joints here to loosen things up. And then let's come back to a neutral position. Keeping the toes tucked under, let's take our body towards the back of our yoga mat. Now step those hands about 1 hand's distance forward so the arms at more of an angle. We'll start with our low flow this morning. So it's important to still be engaged those lower abdominal muscles. Inhale, glide forward, restacking the shoulders over the wrists, tailbone strongly scooped under. Lift the knees up for a moment. If you want to check in with your alignment, you should be in a full plank. On the exhale, lower the knees, draw the hips back, bow the head down. It doesn't need to touch into our bow. Lift the palms up into Hatha Bandha if your wrists need a break. Inhale, glide forward, kneeling plank. Hover the knees for a quick moment if you want to test it. Exhale, knees down. Take a bow. Pop the palms to stretch the wrists. One more before we add on. Inhaling, strong planks. Exhaling, taking a bow. We're going to add those half Chaturangas. So we'll inhale. Let's all stay kneeling plank here. Keep your gaze slightly forward. Micro-bend your elbows back so that the upper arm bones graze the rib cage. Inhale, straighten the arms. That's a tricep push-up. Exhale, take your bow. Inhale, kneeling plank. Exhale, micro-bend the elbows. As you build up this upper body strength, you might be able to go a little further. Don't compromise the back. Inhale, push up, straighten the arms. Exhale, take a bow, pop the palms. One more like this before we add on. Keep that head in line with the spine. Stay in control. So the next time we come forward, we're going to lower all the way down to the ground. So we'll come to inhaling, kneeling plank. Exhale, try to go slowly. Again, those arms should be grazing the rib cage. We lower to our belly. The chin stretches forward. The hands slide underneath the shoulders. Point the toes, flatten the feet. Now keep your feet wider than the hips if we take care of any low back issues, or zip the feet and legs to touch. Squeeze the elbows in, tighten up the upper back, mid back, low back, and inhale. Lift the heart. Extend the crown of the head forward and upwards, like a cobra rising up out of the grass. Your glutes should be somewhat engaged. Exhale, we're coming all the way down. Kiss your mat or forehead to the floor. Tuck your toes under. Tuck that tailbone under. Pull those inner abs tight to the body and inhale, push up. Kneeling plank, strong push up. Exhale, lead with the belly. So pull your belly back, shift those hips back, take a bow. Again, inhale, kneeling plank. You can take breaks as needed. Exhale, squeeze those upper arm bones to the rib cage as you slowly lower down, Chaturanga Tadasana. Chin forward, point the toes, anchor the feet, squeeze the back. Inhale, Bhujangasana. You may lift your hands up to your front of your shoulders if you want a little bit more. Exhale, come all the way down, kiss the mat. Tuck the toes and the tailbone, elbows in. Inhale, straighten those arms. Press into the ground, coming back to kneeling plank. Pull the belly in. Exhale, sit back, take a bow. One more like this. Try to follow your breath. Mindfully go through the movements. So we should all meet in an exhale, taking our bow. Pause here for a moment. If you want to stack the hands into the forehead and just take a breath in a variation of child's pose, the toes can still be tucked under. You can take a quick break, check in with the body and the breath. And then we're going to add a little bit more of that Surya Namaskar with some low lunges. So we might want to reach for a towel or a blanket for additional cushion, and I'll give you another option. So the hands stretch back forward, the body comes back up. We're somewhat in a tabletop shape. Another thing I should say, some people like to have yoga blocks nearby. So if you have 2 yoga blocks and they're within reaching distance, You can kind of just have them out to the outsides of your mat as well. So we're in our tabletop position, our toes are tucked under. We'll reach behind our right thigh and safely place our right foot forward. So we're trying to stack the knee right above the ankle. This is where the yoga blocks come into play when you're down that low. It gives some space for our body and that legs. Now, if your left knee needs extra cushion, you can also take the long edge of your yoga mat, tucking it under, and that will give that left knee a little extra cushion. Now we need to pull the belly in strongly, one hand at a time. We're going to bring it under that right thigh. Anchor your tailbone down, push the thigh away from you as we inhale and come into a kneeling lunge. Now we will be here for a few breaths. We're going to stretch out the left hip flexors, get into a little balancing and strengthening work. Walk your right foot out a little wider if you feel like you're off balance a little bit. Belly pulls in, lengthen the upper buttock down, lift the heart. A little bit more, add that left arm, reaching it up towards the ceiling. And then we can also add the right arm. So we're in a kneeling lunge, fingertips reaching up to the ceiling. Energetically push your left hip more forward, and you should start to feel the stretch, that left quad and hip flexor. Keep the neck long. We're all going to take one more big breath in. On the exhale, we'll take our time to come down. So there's no hurry. Use your front thigh. If the yoga blocks are there, use them as a stepping stone. We want to eventually bring the fingertips to the floor and step our right foot back to meet our left. Maybe inch the hand slightly forward. Inhale, kneeling plank. Exhale, we lower all the way down to the ground. Keep those upper arm bones nice and tight to the rib cage. Chin forward, flatten the tops of the feet, squeeze the muscles of the back. Inhale, Bhujangasana. You're welcome to choose any cobra of your choice. Exhale, I add an extra push-up, so we come all the way back down. We tuck our toes and the tailbone under, pulling the core into the body, and inhale, straightening our arms to push us back up. Exhale, draw the navel into the body, sit those hips back to the heels, take a bow, stretch it out. Inhale, back up into somewhat of our all fours position. Left hand behind left thigh. Carefully step your left foot forward. We want to stack that left knee over the ankle. Right knee needs extra cushion. Take it. You can turn the long edge of your yoga mat under one time to help it out. The blocks can give you a little bit of space to help work with that. Draw the belly in strongly, one hand at a time to our front thigh, so that left thigh. Push the thigh away from you as we inhale to come up. Drop the upper buttock down to the ground. Try to soften your shoulders from your ears. Let go of any tension in the face and the neck. Step the left foot a little wider, if that helps with your balance. Pull the belly in, a little bit more. We'll float the right arm up beside the ear. Feel like you're pulling the head of the right arm bone back. Good. More balance work. Anchor the front foot. Left arm comes up. Heart opening, shoulders fall away from the ears, the neck is long. Energetically push your right hip forward to intensify this big stretch through the front of the right quad and hip flexor. A variation of Ardha Chandrasana, sometimes called half moon pose, making a little bit of a crescent shape in our body. Big breath in for everyone. Take your time, exhale, bring the arms down. Use your front thigh as a stepping stone, the yoga blocks. We'll all eventually make our way back down towards the ground. You can always take a resting pose, some cat-cows, or we'll slide our left foot back to meet our right foot. Walk the hands slightly forward and take a vinyasa. Inhaling, strong kneeling planks. Exhaling, Chaturanga Dandasana. Good. Nice choices. Inhale, back strengthening, strong cobra. Reaching up out of the grass. Exhale, we come all the way back down. Kiss the mat, tuck the toes in the tail, strong core, straighten those arms as we inhale to push back up. kneeling plank. Exhale, take a bow. Pull the belly in, shift the hips back, drop the head towards the ground. And then inhale, bring the body back up. The hands can still be forward at a slight angle here, fingers wide, low belly pulls in, tuck those toes under, and let's float up, back, shift our weight down the back of those legs to our first inversion for some of us, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. So we might need to adjust our stance here, try to parallel the feet, making them as symmetrical as possible, toes pointing straight forward, knees in line with the toes. Have a look at your hands, make sure that they're an equal distance forward from the shoulders. Ideally, the creases of the wrists are running parallel to the front edge of your mat. Root them out of the index finger and thumb. Roll those upper arm bones away from the ears. Continue to draw the belly in, let the head hang loosely between those upper arm bones. Need to come down at any time to reconnect to the body and the breath, please do so. Next inhale, let's lift our heels up, stretch those feet and those toes. On the exhale, sink just the right heel towards the ground and bend the left knee. Press that right thigh bone back. Try to get the right leg as straight as possible. Inhale, heels up. Exhale, sink the left heel down. Bend the right knee. Big stretch for the whole back of the left leg. Inhale, heels up. Exhale, sink both heels to the ground. Bend your knees a little bit more if you need to help the back release. One more breath. Inhale, we look forward. Baby step, feet to hands, hands to feet. Taking Uttanasana, forward fold. Modifying, bend the knees, rest the elbows or the hands on the thighs. We are still upside down, so we want to be really mindful of any high blood pressure or heart conditions. If anytime you need to readjust yourself, do so. Keep that belly pulled in nice and strong. Root through the four corners of the feet, nice strong legs. Try to release the shoulders and the head as much as possible, even if that's one arm at a time if you're modifying. Give that head a little, yes, I'm happy to be here standing on my own 2 feet today. Give your head a little shake, no, I do not need to hold on to anything that doesn't serve me and my practice. Let it go. Now on the next inhale, let's practice some of our halfway lifts. So super strong legs, strong core. Bring the hands onto the shin bones or even higher. Lift the chest like Cobra Pose by strengthening the back. Good, gaze slightly forward. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, the back does the work. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Strong legs, push the feet to the floor, lift the heart. Those of you that want more, locust your arms beside the torso, palms facing each other. Exhale, fold. One more. Inhale, halfway lift. You're welcome to locust those arms beside the torso or modify like me. Exhale. We're all going to sit back into an invisible chair. Pull the belly in. Reach those arms forward and up and add an Utkatasana. Fierce pose. Take a big breath here. We've been upside down for a while, so make sure we got our balance and our bearings. Feet are hips width apart. If we're taking care of neck and shoulders today, always an option just to have your hands in Anjali Mudra in front of the heart. See if we can go a little lower, let the head float, going right into some of our balance work. Fix the drishti on one spot, hover the right foot from the floor. Lower that foot down, keep breathing, keep your focus. Try to hover the left foot from the floor. Bring that foot down. Let's see if we sink a little further down. And then the next inhale, we rise up. Straighten the legs, reach up, heels up. Lift everything up, touch the ceiling. Turn those palms out. Exhale, we'll float our arms down beside the body. Let the heels ground. And we'll all meet in Tadasana or mountain pose for a moment. So let's just stand here, take a breath or two. Turn those palms forward today. Spread the fingers wide so we can continue to open the heart, work on our posture, strengthening the upper back. The foundation starts in those feet, so we want to make sure they're firmly planted. Lifting the toes up can help build up your arches again and create that strength through the feet. Unlock those knees, lift the knees up through the quads, pull front body to back body, anchor the upper buttock to the ground. And the head is just floating. So I do these pretty much every class, our palm tree pose. It's just a nice movement, a nice way to work on our balance. So turn those palms out, big breath in, reach out nice and wide, all the way back up to the ceiling, add the heels. Heels up. Palms touch this morning. Exhale, we try to slowly lower the heels down and the hands to the heart. Two more, follow the breath. Big circle up. As slow and controlled as possible to come down. This is sometimes the hardest part of this pose. One more time. Good, big reach. Let's meet on the exhale. So if we're not already there, let's walk ourselves to the front of our yoga mat. Come back into Tadasana. And we'll just do 2 rounds, one round, I should say. 1 round, Surya Namaskar modified on our right side and then left side. Remember, you might be breathing a little bit differently. Ideally, we're trying to take a movement with a breath, but I go really slow for my own body and practice. So I often take an extra breath here or there, and that's totally fine. You might be moving faster than some of us, and that's fine too. So you might even be doing maybe an extra vinyasa if you're really building up the heat and want to move with your body that way. So we each have permission to do what feels best for us. So stand tall. We're standing against that invisible wall, feeling connected through the feet all the way up to the crown of the head. Turn the palms out, big breath in, reach out and up. Drishti to the thumbs if you want a little back bend. Now micro bend those knees, open the arms back out wide. We're gonna swan dive down into Utkatasana. Maybe it's modified and we stop halfway. If you're folding forward, just be mindful of the back. Inhale, hands to shins, lift the heart, halfway lift. Now this exhale, we find our mat. So take your time again. Bend the knees, plant the hands. Try to switch which foot you use if you can remember. Big step back into full plank. You can come into kneeling plank at any time. You're also welcome to hold your plank or resting pose if you do not want to take the vinyasa. If you'd like to take the vinyasa with me, on the exhale, we lower all the way down to the ground, Chaturanga. Try to keep your elbows in nice and tight. Chin forward, point the toes, anchor the feet, squeeze the back. Inhale, Bhujangasana. You're welcome to take any variation of Cobra pose. I add this extra push-up, so we exhale all the way back down. Tuck the tail and the toes. Straighten the arms. Inhaling, kneeling plank is totally fine. Or lift your knees up to full plank. Exhale, we'll find our resting pose. So that might be downward facing dog, tabletop, or child's pose. It doesn't matter. This is where our little rest stop is to check in with the body and the breath. Now next inhale, some of us will be able to float the right foot up behind us and then step it forward into a lunge. I'm going to modify today, so I'm going to bring those knees back down to the ground, reach around for my right thigh and safely step it there. From there, I'll hover my left knee back up. So I'm in a fingertip lunge. We can use our front thigh again, one hand at a time onto that front thigh bone. Inhale, pull the belly in, rising up. So now we're in a high lunge. Root the tailbone, pull those low ribs in, right knee over ankle. Arms can reach upwards, pulling the head of the arm bones back. You have a choice to anchor your left heel down and in slightly into more of a Virabhadrasana 1 or Warrior 1 stance. Keep your hips and shoulders square to the front of the mat. We're still breathing smoothly. Let's take one more inhale. Our exhale or a couple breaths will bring us all the way back down. So big the back heel up. Use your front thigh as needed. Use your core. You may also drop your back knee down to the ground first. Plant the hands. Right foot meets the left foot. Hold your planks. Take a resting pose or follow your breath through a vinyasa. Exhaling, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhaling, Bhujangasana. Exhaling, lowering back down, push up prep, toes tuck, tail tuck. Inhale, kneeling or full plank. Exhaling, your choice. Down dog, tabletop or child's pose. We hold here for several deep breaths to check in. So we kind of know the math. We're going to do all of that on our other side. If you have the ability, inhale, lift your left leg up behind you, and then exhale, step the left foot forward between the hands, or follow me, dropping the knees, left hand behind the thigh, carefully placing that foot forward, fingertips, right knee floats back up. Use your front thigh, pull the belly in. Press your hands into that thigh to rise up. Knee over ankle, widen your stance for your balance. Low ribs pull in, tailbone anchors the body, hips are square to the front corners, arms float up towards the ceiling. High lunge, or anchor your right heel down and back. Virabhadrasana 1. Neck is long. Keep breathing in and out through the nose. Good. One more big breath in. This exhale takes our time, sweeping all the way back down to the ground. Pick up your back heel if it's grounded. Maybe drop that back knee down first. Fingertips, left foot meets right foot. Your choice. Holding a plank, choosing a vinyasa, or taking a break in a resting pose. Follow your breath. Make smart decisions for our body today. We should all catch up in our choice of a resting pose, taking a couple deep breaths here. So notice any changes in our heart rate, the breath, how the body and the mind maybe feel. Remembering we make these observations without judgment, without labeling any of it good or bad. Next inhale, gaze forward. Baby step feet to hands, hands to feet, forward fold, your choice. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins, lift the heart, locust the arms beside you if you want a little bit more, or modify like me. Exhale, sit those sit bones back, invisible chair. Reach your arms forward and up, Utkatasana. And then big breath in, straighten the legs, reach the fingertips up. Lift the heels up, grow as tall as we possibly can. Turn the palms out. Exhale, float the arms down. Heels sink back down. Pause and stillness in Tadasana. Turn those palms out. Inhale, reach it up, big stretch. Drishti to thumbs for a little back bend. This time bring the palms to touch and exhale the hands to the heart. All right, good job. So I definitely feel a little warmer. That's one of the benefits of Surya Namaskar, is that Really gets our blood flowing, works our heart, and improves our metabolism. I want us to grab a prop at this point. So if you have a yoga block, that's great. If it's a little heavier, if you have a cork block, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. You can also use anything, really. The heavier the item is, the more it's going to challenge our balance. We've been doing this in the last couple of classes, our Vrikshasana, with some movement. So remember, anything I offer is optional. Good. So once, and if you are using a heavier object, sometimes I used to teach like a bar class, we would use hand weights. If you're using anything really heavy, just make sure it doesn't slip and fall on your toes or your head. If we need to rearrange ourselves for our balance, do so. We'll try to start with the insides of the feet and legs touching, taking our prop in front of our heart, shrugging the shoulders from our ears. Now, super strong lower half of the body, from the navel center down. Those muscles should be hugging to the bone. We can come back to those lower locks or bandhas. So giving our pelvic floor a tightening, a squeeze, and a lift, and just below the navel center, in and up. Compact the hips. From here, hover the right heel from the floor. Make sure our drishti is focused on one spot. And then let's open the knee out. So none of this should have shifted. We shouldn't have dropped into our hip, collapsed in our knee, hyperextended the knee. All of this stays glued into place as much as we can. Toes down, or we start to hover the sole of the foot to inner calf, or place it into the inner thigh. Avoid pushing the foot into the inside of the knee. This might be our challenge today, just holding here, that's fine. If we want a little bit more, we'll add that movement with our prop. So on our next breath in, we'll reach it up overhead. Now let's keep it in our right hand. And as you exhale, draw a big circle out, down, good. Switch hands. Inhale, reach up. So if you have that heavier object, it is throwing your center of gravity off. Purposefully switch hands. Exhale. Switch and inhale. Good. Those of us circling around, we'll take one more. If you want an additional challenge, be careful with your shoulders. This time, try to bring the object behind you through a chest expansion. Good. Next time we reach that prop overhead, exhale, lower it back in front of the heart. Try to point the knee forward, reaching the foot out, and then lowering it back down to the ground, pausing for a moment. Keep the gaze fixed, keep the focus. Relax the face. So super strong lower half of the body. Lift up through those bandhas, compact the hips, squeeze the muscles to the bone. Hover the left heel. Keep your pelvis level as you open the knee up. Draw up from the outer knee to outer glute. Try to find the same tree on this side that we did the first side if we can. Eyes gazed on one spot. Adding our movement with breath. Next inhale, reaches the prop up. This time we'll hold it in our left hand first and go the opposite way. So as we exhale, we'll bring it out, down, switch hands, up and around. Inhaling up, switching, exhaling. Good. This does throw us off balance. No big deal. Don't let the ego get into it. If we fall, we just come back to it. Good. One more big circle. Additional challenge is to take the prop behind us. Just be careful of shoulders. It will move us through a chest expansion. Should feel good. Good. Next time we come up, we'll all meet with our prop back in front of our heart. Point that knee forward. Reach that leg out. Lower down. Try to pause here. Keep the eyes fixed. Squeeze the hips. Big breath. Good job today. All right, we'll just set that prop down for now. Okay, so as we're moving around, we might as well, if you have your strap, place your strap nearby your mat. We're not quite there yet, but since we're up and moving, just kind of bring things a little closer towards you. Once we're reorganized, we're going to reconvene at the top of our yoga mat, standing in Tadasana. So feet are hips width apart. Let those shoulders fall away from the ears, the arms floating out beside the body. Turn those palms forward. Float the head on the shoulders. Coming back to our breath. Turn the palms out. Inhale, reach out, reach it up. Last chance, create a lot of length. Drishti up to those thumbs for a little bit of extension. Turn the palms out, micro bend the knees, hinging at the hips, swan dive. Pull those arms back, around and down. Choose your forward fold. We might be stopping halfway. We're going to hang out here for an extra moment, so take an extra breath or two just to give our back another stretch to help release the neck and shoulders. Halfway lift. Hands, they can stay down as long as you can lift your heart up or bring your hands higher up to the shins or the calf. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands. Try to switch which foot you use. Big step back into plank position. Full plank, kneeling plank, strong arms, strong core. Head is in line with the spine. Hold here, resting pose, or take a vinyasa. Try to do it on your own, remembering the steps, following the breath. And then we should meet in a resting pose. That's where we'll all catch up. Adho Mukha Svanasana, down dog, tabletop or child's pose, and just breathe. My down dog people, next inhale, let's lift our heels up as high as we can, crease into those toes. On the exhale, we'll drop down to our knees and point the toes. If we can, keep the knees and feet touching as we sit back into Balasana, child's pose. This time, floating the hands back towards the feet, bowing the head to the ground. Or taking a hold of an opposite wrist across the low back and just allowing those heaviness of the arms to drape around the torso. And then we'll bring our hands under our shoulders, tuck the chin, inhale, try to round up one vertebra at a time, all the way up the spine to the crown of the head. Once we come up to seated, I want us to all drop over to the same hip today, or we'll get confused because we're going to do a seated twist. The little friend trying to join me. So we're all going to drop over to our left hip. Left hip comes to the ground. Our feet should still be off to the right-hand side, but you can move them out of the way a little bit. Now the trick is to come back down onto both sit bones. And let me show you where we're going before we get too out of whack. Our left leg should be on the ground. You're going to bring your right knee up and try to step your right foot to the outside of the left knee. At that point, you would drop your right sit bone back down, so you'll need to move your left foot out of the way a little bit. If this doesn't happen today, bring your right foot simply forward in front of the left shin bone. Now you can take a yoga block or a folded blanket or towel, and I think I'm going to use my cushion today, and I'm going to sit up on it. So my left foot is over to the right, left knee falling to the ground. Your right foot can be placed right in front of that shin or over. Now this might not be an option still, and that's okay. So if this still isn't happening for us today, simply take your left leg, stretch it straight out in front of you. If you're upright or seated up, you're gonna have to support that knee. Right foot right in front of you, or try to cross the right foot over the thigh. So these are all variations, same, one is called Ardha Matsyasana and or Marichyasana C. So they're all little different versions of Marichyasana, seated twist, or half lord of the fish pose. So I just want us to figure out where our left leg needs to be. I'm going to go back to my left leg under and my right foot across. But you should be able to be sitting on both sit bones and tall. So this tells you what you need to do with this, right? We don't force our legs into the position and then collapse in our spine and all out of whack in our low back. So sit bones grounded, spine tall and neutral. If you can't do this here, you got to figure out where to put your legs. Make sense? Okay. So now that we're sat up tall, we're all going to look straight forward. We can use our right shin bone as a brace, so we're holding on to it. And then we're going to end up twisting to the right. So your right fingertips are going to float behind you somewhere. If you're elevated, they might barely touch the ground. It doesn't matter because we're not leaning into that hand. If you have an additional prop, you could take a block behind you. And then that left arm can try to hug the right knee and close to the body, and you're twisting to the right. Sit up tall to the crown of the head. If you're in the leg cross and the fuller version, you're going to get, at least for me, because I have really tight hips, you're going to feel this around the hips as well, stretching them out. Now keep breathing. So the inhale, we lift and lengthen. We create some space, and on the exhale, we can try to gently move into that space. Your shoulders and chin stay parallel to the floor. Open the eyes nice and wide, and try to peek behind the body as far as you can. Your right foot should stay grounded wherever it is. Let's all take one more nice big breath in. On the exhale, we'll take our time to unwind. So we turn the head forward, the body comes forward. So facing forward, cactus your arms up from your shoulders into your goal pose, and just take a slight little bow to the left. You don't even have to really lean towards it, just a very gentle little bow. So for the other side, those of you that are seated like I am, you'll pick your right foot up. You can bring it over beside your left foot, and you can, with the assistance of the prop, move your feet over to the left and drop your right hip down to the ground. So we would be on the other side. If you have your legs extended, simply straighten your right leg out and bend your left knee and pull your left foot towards you. So if we started out in the original position, we're now sinking onto our right hip. Both feet are over to our left. We'll float that left knee up and maybe try to place it all the way over to the outside of the right thigh. If that doesn't happen, bring the foot in front of the shin bone. You got to move your right foot out of the way because we got to be able to sit down. I cannot do this pose sitting on the floor. I have to place something underneath my sit bones. Otherwise, I am pulled all out of whack. So I'm going to scooch myself up. So much better. And if the right knee is not comfortable in this position, you will just simply straighten your right leg out in front of you. Make sure your right knee is supported. Left foot will be right in front of the sit bone, or you can try to cross the left foot over. Use your spine as your guide. Sit bones anchored. We should be able to sit up tall with a neutral spine. So take a moment to figure that out. This side is different for me because my right side is even tighter than my left, so I can already feel this in my right hip. I'm going to try to create that symmetry and bring my left foot back over. So sit up tall, hands to shin bone. This can be our anchor. And then we'll float our left fingertips up and around behind us. If we have an additional prop, it can be there. Remember, we're not leaning back. If anything, we're pushing off of it. Right arm can reach around that left knee and work as a little bit of a lever, hugging knee to body. Inhale, sit up tall. On the exhale, we're rotating to our left. And each breath might guide us, excuse me, a little further or out of the pose. Let our breath be our guide. Eyes open wide, looking for that furthest point behind us, maintaining our posture, bringing everything out. Twists are wonderful ways to release tension down the back through those muscles. They help compress our internal organs and our digestive system. Take one more deep breath in. Exhale. We'll slowly unwind the head, the shoulders, the body. Face forward, cactus the arms, goalpost them from the shoulders, look to the right and take a very gentle bow to the right. Inhale, bring it on up, face forward. At this point, we're all going to stretch our legs forward. So lean back as needed, slide both feet forward. We should end up on our mat here at this point so we can take our props out of the way. Have that strap nearby. Scooch slightly forward. It's time to come onto our backs. So if you want to work your way down slowly on your side, do so. Or we'll plant those feet, open the knees wide, reach our fingertips forward, strong core, and try to roll down through the spine. So the sacrum, the low back, the middle of our back, and the back of the head. Once we're on the ground, loosen up the clothing, move those ponytails, straighten the legs down the middle of the mat, reach the arms overhead, and come into our long body stretch. Exhale, float those arms down, draw the shoulder blades under, walk the feet in, draw the belly in to hug our knees in, rock out the back for a moment. And then we're going to take our strap, open it up. If you don't have a strap, a dog leash, a rolled up towel, a scarf would do just fine. Hook it under both feet and reach both feet up into the air, Viparita Karani. Sometimes called Waterfall Pose, as we allow all the blood to rush down our legs to our vital organs like the water. It's a waterfall. I personally like to reach up my belt so my shoulders are just kind of dangling. You want to have both hands holding on. Wrap the strap around the hands if you want. Some people like to slide their hands down and drop their elbows beside the torso, so whatever feels best for you. Try to straighten the legs out, press the heels up. And we're just going to pause and breathe here. Relax the face, poof the cheeks. One more breath. Bend the knees, release the strap. Re-extend the legs up to waterfall pose now, but this time hold behind the thighs. On the inhale, hold the outer thighs. Let's try to open them up nice and wide into our Supta Konasana. So we'll get our nice big inner thigh stretch here today. If we want more, move your hands, those inner thighs. We can massage up and down then. Roll your ankles. The more you press your heels out and try to open up the eyes of the knees, the more that will intensify the stretch. Low back should be relaxed into the ground. Let's bend our knees, reach up for the big toes, the inside or outside of the feet today for a happy baby pose. Ananda Balasana. Little rock side to side, dropping those knees wide to the outer shoulders or armpits. Big stretch for our hips. Now join the soles of the feet to touch. Knees are still wide. Reach your hands around the feet or ankles and gently try to draw the heels towards the pubic bone. The elbows can encourage the thigh bones out into Supta Baddha Konasana, reclining bound angle pose. Take a nice big breath here. Then reach to the outside of the knees, hug them together. Full Pavana Muktasana. Try to reach your arms across your shin bones, taking a hold of opposite elbows, wrists, hands. Float the nose up to the knees and give your body a nice big squeeze. Purposely pulling those thighs into the belly to compress the abdomen, stretching out the back. Take a big breath in. And on this exhale, we're going to let the body melt down into the ground. So this is the first time we've been here today, at least for class. We are going to move into our final relaxation before we come up for our pranayama, mantra, and meditation. So we want to be comfortable here. If you feel like you need to do an additional movement to get there, do so. You have pillows and blankets around you. Use those as support underneath the legs, behind the head, or even on top of the body. Some of us find it more comfortable to keep the knees bent, drop the weight of the knees together. Our arm bones roll open beside the body, palms up. We might need to adjust our surroundings, loosen our clothing up a little bit. So give yourself a moment to get organized. We want to put just as much effort into this pose as we did all the other postures we practiced. So we'll do a little bit of guided relaxation, take a moment of some peace and quiet. And we'll use the singing bowl for those of us that do want to come up and do our finishing practices of our yoga. You are always more than welcome to stay right where you are till the end of class as well. So find the back of the skull, poof the cheeks up with air a couple times to release the mouth, tongue, and jaw. Feel the weight of the shoulders sink into the ground. Relax all the way down those arms into the hands and the fingertips. Soften the heart, the chest. Relax the belly completely. Maybe notice a subtle rise and fall of the belly with the breath. Soften those large muscles around the hip sockets, the buttocks, the thighs. Relaxing all the way down the legs, into the ankles, the feet, and toes. Relax the whole body. Soften and relax the inside of the body. The breath is easy, quiet, and calm. Relax all the little muscles across the face. And if the mind wanders, we can focus the mind's eye at the third eye center, Ajna Chakra. We can also observe and watch that peaceful breath around the tip of the nose and the nostrils. Giving ourselves permission to let go, to relax, and to simply be and breathe. So for those of us choosing to come up to a seated position, just gently start to come back to the breath in the body, breathing life into the fingertips, the toes, a little rock of the head. We can reach those arms overhead for a moment, point and flex the feet. On the exhale, float the arms down, drawing the knees into the body to rock out the back. One arm comes beside the head. We roll over to one side, pausing again for a moment. Now try to keep the eyes very soft or closed as we bring our bodies back up to a seated position. I recommend sitting up on a prop, so if we need to open our eyes a little bit more, do so. Just try to keep your attention turned inward. We'll want to take a comfortable seat, a place that we can sit up tall through the length of the spine to the crown of the head. Any position in the legs, finding the sit bones. Adjust the clothing and the seat as needed. And then we'll go right into our pranayama or nadi shodhanam practice here. I will guide us verbally through 2 rounds, and then we will continue at our own rhythm and pace for a few more rounds. Start by bringing the hands into chin mudra, index finger to thumb and the other 3 fingers extended, resting the hands on the knees, palms up. Now in the right hand, we take Nasagra mudra, so you start with the peace symbol, and then glue the middle and index fingers together. The thumb, ring, and pinky will be our pinching fingers. Spiral the right hand towards the face and press the middle and index finger into that third eye center between the brow. Gently rest the thumb on the outside of the right nostril and the ring and pinky on the outside of the left nostril. Sit up tall. To begin, inhale through both nostrils. Exhale back out through both nostrils. Close the right nostril with the thumb and inhale just through the left. Open the right, close the left, and exhale. Inhale back through the right nostril. Close the right, open the left, and exhale. That's one round. Inhale through the left. Close left, open right, exhale. Inhale back through the right. Close right, open left, exhale. That's 2 rounds. Continue at your own rhythm and pace. You may mentally count the breath, keeping the inhale and exhales equal in length. If you notice one side is more congested than the other, do your best to breathe through it. And if the right arm or head get tired, place the palm of the left hand under the right elbow, propping it up, maintaining your posture the whole time. Let's all finish the round that we're on. Take your time, there's no hurry. That round should end at the bottom of the exhale through the left nostril. So the next time you're exhaling out through the left, finish that round. And then we'll return our hands back to Chin Mudra on the knees, eyes closed. Let the breath fall away to wherever it wants to go. Maintain the posture. Focus the mind's eye at the acupressure point we created at the third eye center, Agnya Chakra, our place of intuition and wisdom. And now we'll go for a few rounds of our mantra. The mantra is Loka Samasta Sukhi no Bhavantu. It means may all beings everywhere be happy and free. I will start with the mantra. You may join in at home. And then we'll allow the verbal mantra to fall away. And we can continue to mentally repeat the mantra, either in Sanskrit or English, or you may simply sit with your breath and concentrate the mind on one spot. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. 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 Those of us in a seated position, continue to sit with the breath and the body. If you're in your final relaxation, you can start to gently wake the body up. The fingers, the toes, any other gentle movements. Taking your time to draw the knees in, pausing on one side, and eventually meeting us in any comfortable seated position. Continue to be mindful of the posture, creating space all the way up the length of the spine, vertebra by vertebra to the crown of the head. Face is very relaxed. The weight of the shoulders, elbows, and hands are falling away from the ears. And then being mindful of our surroundings, we'll stretch the arms out beside the body, turning the palms up. Let's take another big breath in through the nose. This time we're reaching those arms all the way up to the ceiling, gathering in everything we need for the rest of this beautiful day. Turn those palms out, big exhale out, float the fingertips all the way back down to the floor. and let go of all that other junk we don't need today. And one more time, inhale, reach up. This time, bring the palms to touch. Exhale the hands to the heart center. Humbly bow the head down to the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and anyone else that made it possible for us to come together and practice our yoga today. Join me in the Om Shanti mantra if you like, taking a deep breath in to begin. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Tat Sat. And I thank you all, as usual, for all of your patience, your practice, your support, for being here for yourself, for each other. I hope that felt good for you today. Give your legs a little stretch for those of us that were in our seated position for a little bit. The most challenging part of our yoga practice is sitting still, and once